Welcome to this podcast in the Inclusive Diving series. Scuba diving opens up a whole new world of freedom, wonder, and adventure, and with the SDI Scubility Diver Program, everyone can experience it. So let's dive in and find out more about the Scuba Diving International Scubility Program.
All right, welcome to the deep dive. Today we're going deep on something pretty amazing, actually. You brought us to the SDI Scubility Diver Program, and our mission, well, it's more than just figuring out what it is.
Right.
We want to uncover why this program is so huge, especially for physically disabled individuals who are passionate about, well, exploring the underwater world, right? It's all about how this dedicated program, this initiative, makes scuba diving accessible and, most importantly, safe.
Exactly. And, the main thing we're looking at today is the information straight from the source, from the SDI, that's Scuba Diving International website. We're focusing on their Scubility Diver Program. I think it really shows how a well-designed program can, really break down barriers and open up possibilities.
And for our listeners, the ones who love getting to the core of things, this is going to be really eye-opening. We're not just talking about accessibility in a general sense. We're looking at how a specific organization is making it happen in a real, physically demanding activity like scuba diving. So it makes you think, how do you actually adapt, techniques and equipment to open up, a whole new world for people with different physical needs? So let's start with the basics. What's the core goal of the Scubility Diver Program?
Well, I think the heart of it is really about equipping physically disabled individuals with the skills and the specific techniques they need to confidently take on open water dives in conditions that mirror their training.
Yeah.
And what's really powerful is that the program wants to give these divers a real sense of independence, often without the constant supervision of an SDI Scubility instructor.
That focus on independence, that seems so crucial.
Yeah.
It's not just about, doing the activity. It's about that sense of self-reliance in a setting that, it could be really challenging. Can you talk more about what independence could mean for someone in this program?
Oh, absolutely. And when we talk about independence here, it goes beyond just the physical act of diving. For people who might face limitations in their everyday lives, being able to explore a completely different environment, like, being underwater and doing it largely on their own terms, well, that can have a huge psychological impact. It's about feeling empowered, about, challenging what they think their limits are and experiencing that freedom and wonder underwater, but with confidence.
That changes things.
Right.
It's not just about being able to do it. It's about the deeper impact it has.
Yeah.
Now, you said the program aims for independence, but then you mentioned something about supervision.
Right.
Can you clarify that a bit?
Of course. So while the goal is often independent diving, the SDI program is smart enough to know that everyone's abilities and their need for support, they're going to be different. Their guidelines make it clear that some sweepability divers, they might need supervision from a qualified SDI dive buddy. This isn't like going against the idea of independence, but more about being practical about safety. It recognizes that everyone needs a slightly different approach to make sure they can participate safely at a level that's right for them. It's about finding that balance between, being independent and having the support you need.
Makes perfect sense. A really personalized approach. Now, the information mentions looking closely at diving techniques and equipment modifications.
Yeah.
That seems key to making diving accessible. Can you give us a more concrete idea of what these modifications might look like?
This is where the program gets really innovative. The SDI Scubility Diver Program really emphasizes a thorough look at regular diving techniques and how to change them, as well as the exact modifications that can be made to, off-the-shelf or specialized diving equipment. For instance, think about buoyancy compensators, the BCs, that are changed to be used with one hand. This would let a diver with, say, limited mobility in one arm to easily control their buoyancy. Or think about specialized fin straps made for people with limited lower limb mobility.
Okay.
These would help them use their legs effectively for, moving through the water. These aren't just small tweaks. They're big advancements in making the underwater world truly accessible, but in a way that's safe and actually works.
Those examples really help me picture it. It's not just abstract ideas. It's, real solutions for specific needs. Now, it looks like the Scubility Diver Program isn't just one single course. It seems like there's a whole bunch of options.
Yeah, there are.
Can you walk us through those different courses and what each one covers?
Sure. So the SDI has put together a really comprehensive curriculum for the Scubility Diver Program, and it caters to a whole range of interests and abilities. They start with the Scubility Snorkel Diver course, which is a great way to, get a taste of the underwater world from the surface. Then, building on that, they have the Scubility Scuba Discovery Program, which is basically a supervised introductory dive in a controlled environment. It's specifically for people with disabilities to safely experience scuba for the first time.
So it's kind of like a tri-dive, but with the right adaptations and guidance from the beginning.
Exactly. Then there's the Scubility Surface Buddy Program. Now, this is a really interesting and important course because it trains people to provide that essential surface support for Scubility divers. It's really crucial for safety, and it highlights how collaborative the program is. And as you progress, you have the main certification, which is the Scubility Open Water Diver course. This one gives you the knowledge and skills you need to dive independently in open water, but within conditions that are appropriate for your training and abilities, of course.
It's a very logical progression, starting with the basics and building up to that open water certification. What other learning opportunities does the program offer?
Well, because, continuing to learn is important, they also offer a Scubility and Active Diver Refresher Program. This is for certified Scubility divers who, maybe haven't dived in a while and need to refresh their skills and safety knowledge, again, with a focus on any specific adaptations they might need.
Okay.
And for those who want to, take their skills further and explore more challenging diving environments, there's the Scubility Advanced Diver Development Program.
So it's not just about getting certified initially. It's about encouraging a lifelong journey of learning and exploring. And you mentioned the Scubility Dive Buddy Program before. Since we were talking about the need for buddies for some divers, this seems particularly important. Tell us more about that specific program.
Yeah, the Scubility Dive Buddy Program is a key part of the whole initiative.
Yeah.
It addresses the need for qualified and, well-trained support divers. This course specifically trains people to become competent and reliable dive buddies for Scubility divers, which not only makes diving safer, but also plays a big part in building a supportive community. And it also increases the opportunities for people who might need a buddy to participate. It's all about creating a network of, capable and understanding dive partners.
It really emphasizes the whole idea of collaboration within the program. It's not just about what the individual diver can do, but about building a supportive community around them. Now, for someone listening who might be interested in, looking into the SDI Scubility Diver Program, how would they go about finding resources locally and getting involved?
The SDI website actually makes it really easy. Right on their Scubility Diver Program page, they have a simple tool. Find your local SDI dive center. It's a really important feature because it shows that this isn't just a concept, it's actually being used and supported by dive centers all over the world. This makes it a real tangible option for anyone who wants to learn more or even get started.
That's crucial information, Knowing you can connect with local instructors and dive centers makes it much less daunting to get involved. Now, you also mentioned some of the other content on the SDI webpage, like, blog articles and things. Even though it's not directly about the Scubility program, did any of that give you more context or insights?
Oh, definitely. If you look at the bigger picture, those blog articles, they offer some real-world perspectives. For instance, the articles featuring SDI instructors, people like David Harris, they give us a glimpse into the expertise and, the dedication of the professionals who are running these programs. And then there are these really inspiring stories like Women Who Tech Dive Amanda Baker. Amanda's journey into technical diving, it shows how people with disabilities can reach really advanced levels in the sport. It shows the long-term impact and the potential that programs like Scubility can have. And there's also a really heartwarming piece called A Family That Dives Together Stays Together, which, while not specifically about Scubility, it speaks to that inclusive and community-oriented feeling you often find in the diving world.
It makes you think of a welcoming and inclusive diving community that SDI is creating.
Exactly. And the fact that one of those articles featuring David Harris, it's dated March 24, 2025, that tells us that the SDI community is, active and engaged. It suggests that the Scubility program isn't just static, it's being actively supported, and it's probably evolving based on feedback from, instructors and divers.
So as we wrap up this deep dive, what would you say is the biggest takeaway from our exploration of the SDI Scubility Diver Program?
I think the main thing that stands out is that the SDI Scubility Diver Program is a really significant commitment to making scuba diving truly accessible to physically disabled people. And it does this through a really comprehensive and well thought out approach that includes, specialized training that can be adapted, modifications to diving equipment that address specific needs, and a well-structured, tiered system of courses that focus on both independence and safety for the diver. And as we've talked about, the Scubility Dive Buddy program really shows the collaborative and supportive spirit behind this whole initiative.
I completely agree. And for our listeners, understanding programs like this gives you a really valuable and inspiring look into how different fields, like recreational scuba diving in this case, are really making an effort to become more inclusive and welcoming to people with different physical abilities. It shows how specific needs can be met effectively with good program design, expert-led training, and a real commitment to, breaking down those barriers. It really highlights the potential for people to participate in activities they might have thought were impossible before.
It really makes you think, doesn't it? When you consider how well structured the SDI Scubility program is and the clear philosophy behind it, it makes you wonder what other recreational or even professional fields could benefit from similar programs that are really focused on accessibility and providing support tailored to individual needs. What other, seemingly impossible barriers could we overcome with this kind of innovative approach? So that's something really powerful to think about.
Yeah, really powerful food for thought. Thanks for joining me on this deep dive. Until next time.
We hope that you have enjoyed this podcast and learnt about the SDI Scubility program. So if you are inspired by this program, then please spread the word so that those with disabilities can be empowered to experience scuba diving for themselves. In our next podcast, we will hear about how some real people with disabilities have participated and enjoyed scuba diving. We hope that you will join us for what will be an uplifting and inspiring discussion.